of my coming to Fruitport. It's kind of an interesting story. So one day, a man called me, identified himself as Superintendent Bill Thomas from Fruitport. And so he wanted to talk with me. He called and set up a time to meet him, strangely as it seems. We met on a park bench on the Macatawa River. We talked for about an hour, back and forth. And finally, at the end of our conversation, after an hour or so, he said, "How would you like a job in Fruitport?" Well, the only thing I knew about Fruitport at the time was the pavilion. It was very popular. So anyway, at that time it was only a junior high school. But the intent was, as I was being employed, that I was going to move into the high school in 1963. Our first graduating class was 65, and that class of 65 is along with about 3 other classes pretty much formed the traditions of the school, which are now still existing.
I'm here to talk about Dan Lever. I say Dan Lever, but he's always been known to me as Mr. Lever.
I'll remember him probably forever, and we always called him Mr. Lever. Not Dan, but Mr. Lever. And that's just something we always did.
One of the first administrators I met was Mr. Dan Lever. And what a joy, what a friend and what a colleague in education is Dan Lever.
As I say, exciting times. Back then we were starting a new high school. There was many things that was going on at that time. New teachers, new faculty that had come on. They had hired janitors, new buildings, new books. It was a busy time for Fruitport High School. And Dan Lever was part of the program that effectively put together the high school.
He was your ultimate principal. He lived in the district. He was very active in his church in the district. He was a member of the Lions Club. Matter of fact, he was instrumental in the movement of the Lions Club.
I've been a member of the Fruitport Lions Club since 1960. But I had many good experiences with the Lions Club. And they've been very supportive of the school system. And they still do, and that's good.
And he's always been an active, very active person in the community, whether it's in the Lions, selling Cracker Jacks, or running the carnival booth or something like that, or just raking leaves around the church. He's been an active member of this community.
He was very good about, first of all, his tithes. He was very committed to giving the church his tithes. But he was also concerned about the pantry, and he would send me cash every month of $20, and every once in a while he'd have to send some more cash for the postage. We were sending him copies of the bulletin every Sunday, and he wanted to be sure that the postage was covered, and he sent me $20, which more than paid for the postage, but he insisted upon it.
Nita, my wife, and I, when we came to Fruitport, we started going to the Congregational Church. I did hold about every office in the church, about 60 years. And a lot of good people there. I really enjoyed that, the fellowship and devotional and so on.
I'd go over and they'd have to sit down, and he'd be sitting in his recliner, and we would talk for quite a while, and they were such a nice couple that it was really nice. It was almost like having a father, because my father wasn't around here.
He's made hundreds of friends, and when I get out and around the state, I have had former Fruitport students, one of the first questions they ask is, well, how's Mr. Lever doing? How's Mr. Lever doing? And I think that's the ultimate compliment to an educator, to a type of person like that, when they ask about how is he doing.
As you go through life, there's 4 or 5 people that have been instrumental, really help shaping your character and your life. And Mr. Lever was one of those people. During that time in his office, he said to me, he said, "Ron," he says, "do you know that you're one of the leaders in this school?" And that just stopped me right there, just like it is right now, a leader. That was the first time in my entire life I considered myself a leader.
My grandpa wasn't a big fan of awards. In fact, he's probably up there right now. I'm pretty pleased that he found a good excuse to get out of coming to this. His life was one of humble service. He didn't help others for the plaudits or the prizes. He did it because it was the right thing to do.
He was a very compassionate person. I mean, he truly cared about every student in that building.
He was concerned about the students and their welfare, how things going. Never asked personal questions, but asked questions that were meaningful questions. Questions that you had to sometimes think about giving an answer to, but he wanted to know how things were going.
And he cared about his staff. What made him a unique leader is to talk to the custodians, to the lunch ladies. He touched base with everybody under that roof and respected them, and that's what makes Dan Lever such an outstanding human being, is he cared about all people, regardless of age or position.
Mr. Lever was always a man of integrity. He was a person that didn't demand respect, but always got it. Everybody respected him throughout the whole community, including the teachers. And in fact, just last week I was talking to one of the teachers that was hired in '62, talking and telling her I was going to say a few words about Mr. Lever, and she said he was well liked and loved by all the teachers.
Amazingly, we had a group of teachers that were excellent. Just about every department that we had, there was an outstanding teacher, and they worked very hard. Look back now, I just can't imagine the knowledge and intelligent people we had as staff members. That's not on my part, but that's a kind of a statement made for Fruitport Community Schools.
That modesty extended pretty far. Most of what I know about his days as a player and a coach come from my mom and my grandma, because he never wanted to brag when I asked. But when I asked him to play basketball a little bit longer, he always would. Even if it was getting dark, he would turn on the lights in front of the garage and we'd keep going. I don't know if he wanted to, but he always did.
What's a favorite story that you have of your grandpa?
I have too many. But my favorite is when Grandma would always whistle at us because we were being naughty and doing things that we shouldn't be doing, like making ropes courses, climbing on the roof, off in the woods making teepees, picking raspberries, roller skating in the garage ridiculously. But I just am happy to call him my grandfather.
Dan Lever will always be a very special person in my heart. One of a kind, cared about people, compassionate about things he worked with. As I mentioned before, the school principalship, his church, and the Fruitport Lions Club. But he also had a sense of humor to him, and he really enjoyed life. And when you combine those things and a wonderful wife and a couple girls for daughters, Dan was outstanding.
Dan, I want to just say thank you. You were one of the 5 people that were extremely influential in my life.
He was a good teacher, and an even better grandpa. And even though he would never say it, the world is a better place because he was in it.
I regret that I cannot be here this evening to be honored by the Hall of Fame committee. However, I do send my best to all of you and hope that things go well for you and the community school.
I hope that you caught a theme to all our inductees tonight, and it is these group of people had an impact long after they're gone, and all of them fit the bill, but maybe none like Dan Lever. Sally and Angie, please come up, and please welcome the folks.
Good evening. On behalf of our family, our entire family, we would like to extend our sincerest gratitude to Fruitport's community schools, and especially the Fruitport Hall of Fame Committee for this award. And on a personal note, I would like to publicly thank my daughter, Laurel Lever Burgum, for crafting the beautiful video tribute to her grandfather. We are honored and very proud that our father and grandfather is this year's recipient of the Service Award. Last fall, when he was informed of his nomination, he didn't really outwardly show very much excitement. However, when he began to tell his stories for the video, it became evident that he was so very honored, just like he was so proud to be part of this community for over 50 years. It meant a great deal to him to receive this honor. If you haven't already realized it, my father lived fully, cared deeply, and served humbly. And so if he were here with us tonight, I believe he might have reminded us that this evening is about more than just awards and recognition. It's an opportunity for each of us to recognize in his or her own way how the lives of those who strive to make the world a better place can inspire all of us to continue their legacy. There's an African proverb that goes, "If I stand tall, I am standing on the shoulders of those who have gone before me." It is a recognition of the contributions made by great people who have come before, of the legacy of those people. Nothing would please my father more than to know that the life of service he led, the example he lived every day, would be a legacy for others to honor and emulate and build upon, to make life better for their fellow human beings. Thank you very much.